What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we've got another fantasy football mock draft for you, as promised, back on FantasyPros here, where we have got a 12-team standard mock draft, switching things up a little bit. We're going to have the last pick overall, that 12th pick, so it should be pretty interesting as far as the roster is concerned. 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, and then 5 bench spots. Same as usual. So let's kick it off. And while we load, a quick reminder, if you enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. And let us hear it in the comment section. Give us your thoughts about these picks, about these teams, etc., along with any other questions you guys might have. We will do our best to answer them all. But let's check this out. We are on the clock. And look, standard versus PPR drafts, especially full PPR drafts, it is a completely different ball game. So this is going to be a different approach, but it's all right. I think it's going to be very informative here. But to kick things off, let's quickly look at the first couple of selections. I want to give you guys my thoughts on them. So initially, Jonathan Taylor is off the board. That makes a lot of sense at the 101. I would also have them there in standard scoring. Then Austin Eckler at the 102. To me, that is too high in standard scoring leagues. I would have Derrick Henry above him. Probably have Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, Christian McCaffrey. I don't actually know about Joe Mixon. Maybe put a pin in that. But look, the first 8 picks running back heavy. You see Nick Chubb here. This is going to be a theme in these standard drafts where Nick Chubb is actually a fair first round selection. And I don't mind that here. Then you see Najee Harris at the 108. Would have loved to have gotten Najee Harris with that last pick in the first round. I think he's both a good rusher and pass catcher, so a nice little balanced running back. Definitely proved me wrong his rookie season despite that god-awful Pittsburgh offensive line. Then the first 2 wide receivers off the board, Cooper Kupp and Jamar Chase. In standard scoring leagues, it's all about the yards. It's all about the touchdowns. And Cooper Kupp, he's coming off a historic season. Jamar Chase, I'd probably rather have Devontae Adams over him. Probably even, honestly, Justin Jefferson, because I don't think that he's going to be in competition for as many targets with guys like a T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, maybe even Joe Mixon. And maybe to some extent, we're kind of showing our hand here with some of those names that we mentioned, especially Justin Jefferson. Let's look at the cheat sheet really fast here, because I would like to come out of this with a top running back. But looking at these guys that are on the board right now, Alvin Kamara, he's a much, much more suited PPR guy. So I have questions there. Javonte Williams, he's in a running back by committee. Leonard Fournette, tempting, but I do think the addition of White kind of lowers his stock. James Conner, I do like James Conner, but I think this is too early, right at the turn. I'm looking at guys like a Zeke, maybe that can fall to us at the end of the 3rd round. Somebody like a Josh Jacobs, names like that. Aaron Jones is kind of tempting here, I'm not going to lie, but I'm just going to go with my first pick. To me, it's a no-brainer. I'm going to go with Justin Jefferson. I think he's the best value at this point in time. And then, here, this is where we have to make a decision. Do we go running back or do we go with another wide receiver? Maybe even a tight end. But again, I still think it's a little bit too early for tight end. I think there's a chance somebody like George Kittle could be available for us later. The guy I'd be considering is Travis Kelce. Looking at these wide receivers, Deebo Samuel, Devontae Adams, they're the top 2 guys. I'd be looking at probably Devontae Adams. So right now, again, looking at these running backs, I actually have Aaron Jones ranked, in standard formats. I have a little bit more confidence in him. I think he's just going to be a lot more involved than some of these guys, especially with the departure of Devontae Adams. But again, it's probably going to be more involved in PPR aspects, so that hurts a little bit there. So honestly, with that being the case, I'm going to pivot here a little bit. I'm going to actually go tight end. I'm going to go with tight end here. Let's just lock it up. Let's get Travis Kelce and then figure it out afterwards. So I do end up being right. George Kittle is available for us here at the end of the third round. So that could have been a really nice value. But here we're going to go running back heavy. We're going to go running back heavy and load up on some of these guys that are still available. So we got Kelce. Without Tyreek Hill, I think he's going to be just fine. Then you see Cam Akers, Alvin Kamara, Deebo Samuel, and the rest of these running backs. You see Javonte Williams, Aaron Jones, Leonard Fournette. I still contend that it was a little bit too early to go with Leonard Fournette there. And yes, Travis Kelce, where we got him, probably, should be an end of the second round selection, but I'm more so looking at it here in terms of just getting that wide receiver one at the tight end spot. I really like his touchdown upside. I really like his yardage upside. So that was kind of the logic there. Then a couple of wide receivers, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb. Then you see James Conner, Antonio Gibson. Was really hoping Zeke would fall to us. That isn't the case. Mark Andrews with the first pick in the third round. Then Josh Allen also a third pick in that third round. Then Josh Jacobs, somebody that I was looking at, Tyreek Hill, in Miami now. Mike Evans, a good value pick there in the third round towards the end. Kyle Pitts. I don't think Kyle Pitts should be going before George Kittle. Then David Montgomery, A.J. Brown, and T. Higgins. So now it's going to be a situation where I know one of my picks here, who it's going to be. I'm looking at the running backs. I'm going with Saquon Barkley. To me, he has the highest upside out of these guys that are still available. I think he's a good, kind of dual threat running back. The way I see it with Saquon Barkley, look, last year was coming off a serious injury. He was on a bad team, bad offensive line, but the talent is still there. And I kind of maybe equate this to Todd Gurley earlier in his career where, right out of the gate, he was really good. Then the offensive line took a step back for the Rams. He was very disappointing. His value plummeted, and then you got a steal for him later on. I think that's what we can do here with Saquon Barkley. So let's add our running back. Now, I'm looking at running back again because we've got wide receiver, we've got tight end. With these wide receivers that are on the board here, I think there might be a little bit more PPR suited. And there's more depth at the wide receiver position compared to some of these running backs, because while I can get on board with these running backs, like a Travis Etienne, I think he is much more PPR suited again. So I'd rather go a J.K. Dobbins here. Yes, he's coming off an ACL, but he's on a run-heavy team. He's had a full year to kind of recuperate. Elijah Mitchell would be the other guy that I'm looking at. But it scares me the fact that the 49ers added another running back, that usually it's a situation there where it's a running back by committee, and that Mitchell was a little bit banged up last year as well. I'm not going Damian Harris. I think that he's somebody that is going to be also in a running back by committee, touchdown, kind of regression. So I'm going to go with J.K. Dobbins here. Not ideal because, again, he is coming off the injury, but I do think that he's going to be the top guy for the Baltimore Ravens. Now, let's see how these next couple of selections play out. A lot of these wide receivers that I was looking at have been taken, but I still think there's some really good value, actually. So, let's go to the draft board here. After our J.K. Dobbins pick, you see DK Metcalf, Elijah Mitchell, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Kittle there. Awesome value, George Kittle in the fourth round. Mike Williams, I love that pick as well. He's somebody that I was, hoping by sheer luck would fall to us. But again, this is what happens when you have that last pick at either extreme. You're going to miss out on some of these players. The chances that they kind of slide to you are a lot lower. That's why it takes a lot of, I would say a little bit more skill picking at the 1, picking at the 12. So that's what we're going to use this kind of, mock draft as a practice run to do. Then you see Damian Harris, Deontay Johnson. So there's some really good wide receivers here in the fourth. Lamar Jackson, DeAndre Hopkins. So Lamar is the second quarterback off the board. Let's quickly look at our roster here. So Barkley, J.K. Dobbins, Justin Jefferson, Travis Kelce. Then Jalen Waddle, Allen Robinson, love the value in Allen Robinson in the 5th. Terry McLaurin, Melvin Gordon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Talk about a guy that is absolutely plummeted in value. Patrick Mahomes. So a run on quarterbacks here. Elijah Moore, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Amari Cooper, A.J. Dillon. And unless I miss something, I believe Kyler Murray is still available, which I think is absolutely bananas. You know, yeah, he is. And I would say that, to me, he, at this point in time, is a really good pick. You know, you kind of see some of these other names. I will say wide receiver, we still kind of need to address it. And Chris Godwin is available. I think, obviously, with Tom Brady get back, sure, Godwin is the more PPR-suited type of wide receiver on the team, but I still think he is capable to be a wide receiver 1. The other guy that I would be considering here is a Marquise Brown, you know, especially with DeAndre Hopkins suspended for a little bit. Travis Etienne, though, is also available. So, honestly, here I'm between 4 guys. I'm between Travis Etienne, I'm between Chris Godwin, Marquise Brown, and then Kyler Murray. So what I'm going to do here is, since I have 2 running backs that, you know, there's some question marks with them, I'm going to go ahead and pick Travis Etienne kind of as a buffer, as a backup. So he's going to be one of our selections. And then, honestly, I'm probably going to go Kyler Murray or Marquise Brown just to get at least at quarterback, to get that positional advantage. I'm looking at how many other teams have a quarterback here. So I do think we're going to see a run on quarterbacks in the 6th and 7th round. So I'm going to pull the trigger on Kyler Murray, get that positional advantage at this point in time, and maybe, you know, hopefully land someone like a Rashad Bateman afterwards. I think he's really, really good value. The chances that he's going to be there, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But let's just go get Kyler Murray right now. I want to kind of secure a tier 1 running quarterback. So we're really kind of going with a different strategy than we normally might, I would say. And I'm crossing my fingers that some of these wide receivers fall to us that we mentioned. And I actually think we do get lucky. But quickly looking at the draft board, so a run on tight ends, Darren Waller, Dallas Goedert, TJ Hawkinson. We didn't have to worry about it. We already got Travis Kelce. Then Jerry Jeudy, Miles Sanders, Brendan Cooks, Dak Prescott, Dalton Schultz, Kenneth Walker. I think that's still a little bit too early for him. You know, Rashad Penny is still there. Drake London, Chris Godwin. Awesome value on Chris Godwin. Jeez. But Drake London going before Chris Godwin, I don't know about that. Then Aaron Rodgers. There goes Rashad Penny, Cortland Sutton, Russell Wilson, Michael Thomas. Really nice value in Michael Thomas, even though he's more PPR suited. I still like that. Yes, Jarvis Landry just did go to the New Orleans Saints, but I still think Thomas is the main guy. Then Jalen Hurts, Singletary, Kareem Hunt, Tom Brady, and Deshaun Watson. So, you know, look, I was right. In between our selection of Kyler Murray and our next pick, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quarterbacks go. And of course, that helps us big time because it allows us to get a wide receiver here, and a wide receiver that I really, really like in Marquise Brown. So let's not even hesitate, I would say. Let's take Marquise Brown. I think in standard scoring leagues, he's going to be more valuable than, let's say, a Darnell Mooney. So we get our Marquise Brown, and we pair him up with Kyler Murray. I really, really like that combination. And now here, look, we've got our starting roster actually filled out. Considering this is a 12-team, you know, mock, I actually really, really like this squad. I'm looking at the running backs that are still left. Chase Edmonds, Tony Pollard, Ramondre Stevenson. None of those guys are really starters. Chase Edmonds, a PPR guy. I'm passing on all of them. I'm looking at the other names, backups, PPR guys. No thank you. Maybe Gus Edwards is a potential handcuff, but we can do that much later on. So right now, I'm just going to hit the position that I think has the best value left. That's wide receiver by a mile. I'm going with Rashad Bateman here. I'm very excited to get him with Marquise Brown leaving. So let's add Rashad Bateman and then figure things out afterwards. We're just going to fill our bench really, really good value here at wide receiver. Still Brandon Ayuk, Lazard as a potential breakout in Green Bay. I like that as well. Let's see if anything kind of just sticks out very quickly here with these last couple of rounds. So Juju Smith-Schuster, also a good value, somebody that I like, but already have Kelsey. I think he's going to be a little bit more PPR based. Good value on Mooney there. Lockett, look, he's kind of the ultimate boomer bust guy, but without Russell Wilson, no thank you. Devonta Smith, nice value there. Michael Carter at the end of the 8th round, but with Breece Hall there, I'm out on that backfield. Hunter Renfrow, then a run on tight ends here, Knox, Ertz, Gronk. So Thielen, then Gabriel Davis, Ronald Jones, Raheem Mostert, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, I'm going to go back to our cheat sheet here, look at some of these names. Brandon Ayuk is somebody that I do like. Allen Lazard as well. Who do I have more faith in, though, quarterback-wise? That would be Aaron Rodgers as opposed to Garoppolo or Trey Lance. So I'm going to go with probably Allen Lazard as one of our picks here, and then potentially go with somebody like a, Gus Edwards, I guess, as a handcuff, but I think that's just way too early. And honestly, he's also coming off a major injury, so it's not like he's a for sure pick either. So let's just land Allen Lazard. At tight end, there's not really anybody that I love. Cole Kmet is there. I think we can get him later on, though, but honestly, we have Kelsey, so you don't have to really worry about that position. So let's land Allen Lazard and then figure out this pick afterwards. It might honestly probably be Brandon Ayuk, or if we get really greedy, just get Matthew Stafford as a backup to Kyler Murray. I wouldn't be upset about that at all. And, in case Kyler Murray gets injured, something like that, I think that's some really, really nice depth at that position. And, potentially a quote-unquote trade piece. So let's just do that. Let's get Matthew Stafford. And then we're going to make our final 2 selections here. So I'm kind of looking at this, and like I said before, I alluded to it, I really like how our team is shaping up. Now, looking at our last 2 selections, Michael Gallup is still there. I think that's a nice value. Other names that kind of stick out, I would say, maybe a Cole Kmet at this point, I think is probably a decent value with our last pick. If I like him as that kind of breakout potential. So again, another guy that could be used as some trade bait if he pans out. So yeah, that's how we're probably going to end it here with Michael Gallup and then Cole Kmet. And then we're going to break down our roster. I'm curious to see what draft grade we're going to get. I think this is actually for one of our first standard drafts in a bigger league, 12-team league. I'm very happy. Don't have as much running back depth as I would like. I have 3 guys, each have some question marks, but I think, you can make the case that each one has some really nice upside as well. But let's round this out here with Cole Kmet and then see our grade and wrap this up. And, I'd probably give this a B grade, like worst case scenario. So we get a C minus. But look, breaking down our roster, Kyler Murray is a tier 1 quarterback. I love that pick. I love where we got him. Let's kind of look at this round by round. I think maybe you can say with our second pick, we should have gone with a running back instead of a Travis Kelce. Okay, I can listen to that argument, but, Kelce without Tyreek Hill, I like the upside. I think we got very, very lucky with Saquon Barkley falling to us. He's going to be kind of a guy that's a risk versus reward, but I do think the potential return is much higher than the risk. Another year kind of removed from his injury. J.K. Dobbins, another kind of risky guy. Because he's coming off an ACL. But, if healthy in standard formats, I do like him. And then we also get Travis Etienne. I really, really like that. And, kind of looking at our next couple of picks, Kyler Murray, we really got very, very lucky, I would say, in the 6th, 7th, and 8th rounds. That couldn't have gone any better, getting Kyler Murray, Marquise Brown, and Rashad Bateman, a couple of guys that I really, really like as potential breakouts. Then Alan Lazard also getting Matthew Stafford to back up Kyler Murray, Michael Gallup, and then Cole Kmet. So I really like how this turned out. I'd honestly give this probably a B plus roster. If these running backs hit, this is an A type of roster. I would say that that's probably the position where we got dinged a little bit, but it's all right. I think we addressed it all right, going back to back to back running backs in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round. But hey, let me know your thoughts. Do you guys agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have? Let us hear it in the comments section. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe. And in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.